to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello. Welcome to another edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home for original people peace, for original people peace, original people reciprocity, and original people positivity. And I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. The Narrative Podcast promotes positive self-images about original people and original people culture. Welcome, everybody. So here we go, another weekend. Welcome to another full edition of the Narrative Podcast. Before we get going in, all the mothers out there, since I will not be broadcasting tomorrow, happy Mother's Day in advance to all of you. You all truly deserve it. I don't support or subscribe to greeting card holidays, but the exception is like Mother's Day and then also Father's Day. So those are the two exceptions, in my belief system, because like a mother and a father, they should get 9 million days. They deserve all of it. A good mother and a good father definitely deserves to be recognized. So all the ladies, enjoy your day tomorrow. All the ladies with children, just out there, mothering. So it's kind of a bittersweet one for me when I reflect upon the years. With my mother. My mother passed about a few weeks before Mother's Day in 2007. So that was always something like real, the first actual Mother's Day that I couldn't celebrate with her in 2007. That was it was surreal. But I was still surrounded with love. I had my older sisters, my sisters, my aunties, so other females in my family. But, definitely, if you had a mother figure, if you was raised in adoption and just had a mother figure, definitely let them know that they're appreciated. Spend some time with them if you can, if your schedule allows. Acknowledge all mothers all over for all y'all do. So happy early Mother's Day. Then also, I wrote a poem I have a poetry blog on blogger.com that I wrote, I can't remember what year, I think about 13, 14, a while ago in remembrance of my mother. Titled Only a Mother. So go check that out on all mothers out there on www.mrhallziesblogs.com. That poem's for y'all. Now moving right along. First and foremost, welcome to the Narrative Podcast. Before diving into the content, my listening audience, I call them my narrators. They already know the demonstrations. They already know what type of content that I'll be covering this weekend. So they're familiar with my format. They're familiar with the way I present the material that I'll be speaking about on my podcast. But for everyone new to me and new to my podcast, how I generally start things off is just giving you guys a quick, brief synopsis, a walkthrough of the Narrative Podcast, all the nuances you need to be aware of, and what to expect during the broadcast. So here we go, starting at the top. Tippy, the name. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media weaves about original people and original people culture. So what I want to do to counter this intentional misrepresentation of our images and our likenesses is to design a platform where I'm uplifting and edifying our people. And how do I do that? Well, I think that's a perfect segue for my tagline. The Narrator Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original people culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Hence the mission statement of the Narrator Podcast. That's entirely why I exist in this space. And my mission statement, what I'm dedicated to doing is, bringing awareness to the listening audience of why it's important to responsibly utilize your digital platforms to share positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture. I get to the original people, why I keep saying that a little bit later on in the breakdown. So yeah, that's entirely why I exist, is to bring awareness as to why it's so important and to encourage everyone else to do what I'm doing, share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. That's like the pretty much, the entire mission statement behind the Narrative Podcast, entirely, what I'm trying to accomplish in this space that I'm occupying. Next order of business, I call my listening audience my narrators. I call my listening audience my narrators because we are living in the digital information age, which means we all share information online, whatever platform, digital platform exists. 9 out of 10, they have some type of wall where you can upload your status updates and have a little section about a brief bio about yourself. And so when you're sharing information online, what you're doing to the rest of the world is you're presenting yourself to the rest of the world, online via your your wall, your bio. So you're telling your own story to the rest of the world. Another word for telling is narrating. You're narrating your own story to the rest of the world. You're letting the world know, be aware of your hobbies, your interests, your points of view, your perspective, how you was raised, what you believe in, what you're interested in, turn-ons, turn-offs, favorite activities. What you subscribe to, whether it's religious, spiritual, or whatever, political views, you name it. That's how people communicate nowadays. Is they get online and they tell or narrate their own stories. So that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. And as narrators of our culture, it's important to tell an accurate story, not just a good story, but an accurate story of who we are as a people. So my narrators, they're essentially, the Narrative Podcast ambassadors, if you will, on this online. So basically, I want you to continue to do online what I'm doing every single week with my podcast, which is to share positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So, like I said, the reason why we want to do that is because the rest of the world, they only have negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. You know, they have negative frames of reference in all mediums, movies, television shows, music, books, magazines, all forms of literature, negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. So while we cannot control what the media puts out about our people, we can control or change the narrative, if you will, about what we as a people put out to the rest of the world. And, you know, what we should want to focus on putting out is positive content, telling our story from the accurate perspective of who we are as a people. And who are we as a people? We're kings and queens, gods and goddesses of the universe. And that's how we should be reflected, our images and likenesses. That's how it should be reflected in all forms of media. And so it's up to us to do that. You know, we can't control like how people outside of our culture perceive us as, you know, what they think about us. I don't think that's our jobs to do that. It's not our jobs to educate or enlighten people outside of our culture. It's definitely not our jobs to, you know, seek validation from people outside of our culture. Like, you know, that's not our jobs to do that. It's our jobs just to let them know the truth. Let them know who we truly are, not what they, you know, believe we are from the frames of reference that they're given, which is negative frames of reference. So yeah, that's why I call my target listening audience my narrators. A sub point I want to tack on about the media, the primary reason why they do that, why they represent us in the fashion that they do, is because they are ran by the powers that be, you know, the people that govern this world, that make the wheels turn, the powers that shouldn't be. You know, they're the powers that be, but they really shouldn't be. But, you know, wealthy elite society, the wealthy elite class, you know, basically like wealthy white people. They want to control the narrative. They want to make themselves be the pinnacle of refinement, sophistication, elegance, and class. And to achieve this false image, they make everyone else, in comparison to them, seem low and intelligent, degenerate, uncultured, and savage in comparison to them. You know, what they represent is, you know, life in excess, capitalism, mass over consumerism. They live to worship status symbols, you know, and status symbols are important to them because they don't have their own identity. They're birthed out of stealing other people's identity, stealing other people's cultures, and, you know, calling it their own. So, you know, they're jealous, pretty much jealous of everybody because they don't have, you know, for lack of better words, they don't have any sauce. They don't have no drip. They don't have no swag. They steal everybody else's. And to compensate for that, you know, they surround themselves with status symbols to make themselves feel important because they don't know how to be happy in life without said status symbols, like, you know, the big mansion, the big house, the big mansion, the expensive cars, the designer wardrobes, the walk-in closets, the 5-star, hotel and restaurant treatments. They want to, basically make everybody believe you need all these material things to be happy, to be progressive, to matter as an individual. And like I said, they do this to everybody, try to warp and distort everybody's images and likenesses, but they primarily pick on our people, original people, the most because we propose the biggest threats to their world. And why do we propose the biggest threats to their world? Is because we are the most impactful, influential people on the planet. Everybody, copies us to some capacity. They copy something about us, whether it's our music, style of clothing, how we wear our clothing, how we walk, how we talk. Everybody kind of steals from us. All other cultures borrow from us, steal from us, tries to be like us in some capacity, heavily influenced by us in some capacity. So we're, natural born leaders. Everybody, follows our lead. And, we are original people. We're natural people. So originally we don't need all these, material things, to be happy, to be productive. And we're just naturally stylish. We just naturally fly. We don't need a fly car to say, hey, I'm fly. We fly because we fly. We're stylish because we're stylish, not because we're wearing designer. And, and when we start projecting that aura, the rest of the world will, follow our lead, as they always do, because they're always copying off of us. And once they start following our lead, that we don't need all these high-ticket, high-end items to be happy and out in life, then their world will come crashing down, because they represent, capitalism, mass consumerism, and just basically spending money just to be spending money, just because you got it. They, buy $1,000 ensemble just because you have $1,000. Buy a $1.3 million vehicle just because you got $1.3 million to spend on a vehicle. But the kicker is for this high society, higher echelon class of people, is they're not actually even spending money. That green paper stuff, they're not even spending any currency. What they tend to do, how they maintain their wealth, is through trust funds, living insurance policies, insurance on said status items. They get insurance on their houses, insurance on their jewelry, and basically everything they purchase makes money, but they don't actually spend money to get these status symbols. But they make the status symbols build and accumulate more wealth. But to us average people outside of the bubble, we're thinking we have to take the little money we get and spend it in hopes to be like them. So, that's why they pick on our people so much, the original people. Once the rest of the world starts following our lead, the jig is up. Because everybody, they pretty much their role in life, they're like the Wizard of Oz. Everybody wants to lift they don't want us to lift the curtain up and show everybody, what's really underneath there. This facade that they keep on, putting on. But that's the wealthy elites class influence on the rest of the world. Why they keep on trying to make us look violent amoral, ignorant, lazy, and all these negative stereotypes and negative stereotypes they place over, stigmas and stereotypes that they place over our people. That's why they keep doing it, because they want the rest of the world to just believe that we are unsalvageable as a people. Don't try to be like these people. And the reason why they don't want anybody else to be like us is because it would spell the end of their reign on earth. Like at the top of the heap. No more preferential treatment, no more white privilege, because then the playing field will be level. Everybody will have the exact same. They wouldn't feel special anymore. But their biggest fear that trumps that is, they're historians. They're aware of their history and they're aware of our history. And they know in their heart of hearts, they could not have their massive financial wealth. They couldn't have any of these systemic power structures without us. Because if there never was a us, there would never be a them. They only exist because of us. But their biggest fear is that, we would remember that and reclaim everything they took and everything they're taking from us today and turn around and do to them the same thing that they've done and that they're currently doing to us. That's what keeps them shaking in their boots. That's why they hate us so much. That's why they do all these terrible things to us. But enough about the elite class. On to my next point you should know about the Narrator podcast. The Narrator podcast, this is a positive space. I don't indulge in any negative isms as far as our people is concerned, original people. It's all about upliftment and edification here on my podcast channel. I want to use this medium to uplift and edify our people and, just magnify all of our natural glory, all of our natural beauty, all of our natural splendor. I don't engage in name calling, gossip, roasting people and none of that, dragging none of my brothers and sisters through the mud. Because I feel like we're the only group of people that gets attacked from all sides. We don't have any allies. We don't have anybody to rely on but us. So, I want to be the bridge to connect us instead of divide us. That's, what I'm trying to do here in this space. I'm not about gossip and slander. On a personal note, it does, you know what I'm saying? If it don't put money in my pockets, I ain't worried about it. I don't care about, what celebrities sleeping with what other celebrity, it does nothing for me. I'm not interested in that. I don't care about who's dating who's sleeping with who. I don't care about what he got, what she got. I just care about us, getting together on the same page, accomplishing things, unifying, loving each other, and supporting each other. And that's, entirely what I'm trying to do on the Narrative podcast, and encouraging my listening audience to use all their mediums to promote that as well. Now, however, what I do is I do tell the truth. I'm very truthful. I'm pro-truth. I feel like if a brother or a sister from our community is, intentionally misappropriating or our culture, or intentionally letting themselves be used or their platform be used to continue this agenda, this, misappropriation of our culture intentionally, then I will call said person out. But other than that, I don't name drop celebrities. I don't, do none of that. The only reason why I ever would is to basically cement or illustrate a point that I'm trying to make, because I also deliver a commentary on current events as it relates to our people. And the reason why I do that is because the media go out of its ways to have us looking and sounding crazy. So what I try to do when I'm delivering commentaries is break it down, whatever's happening in the world, whether it's globally, locally, or, nationally, or just something specifically within our community. I just break it down, from our perspective, what that means. And because like the media, they'll milk it till it's dry and just try to make it look so much worse than what it really is. So that's the only reason why I would ever bring a celebrity's name up. And then not only that is, other than the illustrator point, to cover the bigger picture type thing. And the bigger picture type thing that I cover here on my platform when I deliver a commentary is the why. Like, why did this happen? Why did this negative outburst happen? Why did this negative action happen within our community? And the why usually points back to systemic programming and conditioning, using the media to program and condition us to act and react and respond to one another in a negative way, or to have negative outbursts. So like, it's programming and conditioning when the natural man and the natural woman of this planet, does anything negative, because negativity is just not who we are by nature as a people. So that's why, I deliver commentary and, talk about current events and such, but never for clickbait, clout, or trying to attach my name to a trending topic for, clicks or whatever. Never that. Like, if I was in it for the money, I would have stopped a long time ago. Because it's not a lot of money in podcasting unless you have the proper connections, unless you got the proper sponsors and all that. So this is just really to for the people, to promote positivity. Because if it was about profit, just only profit, I'd have quit a long time ago. Okay, and then last but not least, of course, you've heard me say it time and time again, over and over again, all since I've been doing the breakdown. Hearing me say original people on my platform, I refer to our people as original people. Couple reasons. Reason number one, it has historical relevance. So for the historical relevance of why I refer to our people as original people here on the Narrator podcast is because we were and are the original people of this planet. We was here first. We was here thousands of years before pretty much everybody here, before anything was, we was. And as being original people, we thrived, we existed on every single corner of the globe, the continent, or, the plane, physical plane, for those that believe in flat earth. Whatever you call yourself believe. Some people believe, in dimensions. They say this is Kai or whatever. But whatever, you know what I mean? We was here first, So that's an homage to our proper place in the world, the originators being here first. Not only that, we also invented pretty much every modern day convenience you can conceive of. If you do your due diligence, whatever, is in the history book that says somebody that didn't look like us invented it, can be traced all the way back to our origins, especially in American culture. Like the Industrial Revolution is just one big giant lie. Nobody in there that wasn't black invented anything. And slaves invented everything. Like all the people in school that they taught you invented the vehicle, invented the plane, did not. The light bulb, Thomas Edison, a trail of breadcrumbs a mile long. Louis Latimer, he did invent the light bulb. He invented it, and Thomas Edison stole it from him. But when he invented it, he made it so it would not work with the filament because he knew he was going to steal the invention and call it his own. That's why he invented the filament. That was the design flaw. He knew it wouldn't work without the filament. So he got the patent to the filament. So no, the history got the other man inventing it, but he invented it. And that's pretty much what they did to all our inventions. They stole it and put their name on it. But anyway, back to, the historical accuracy of, why I refer to our people as original people. Another sub-point that I want to tack on to that, being original people, a false narrative that keeps on getting spread. They keep on want to just try to lament slavery, highlight slavery. They want to try to make it seem like it was a more pivotal thing within our existence than it actually was, meaning like that we all came from slavery. Slavery was more impactful in our existence than anything. It impacted our civilization more than anything. So like I said, we're the original people. We existed everywhere in the world, and we didn't get to all these places on slave boats, especially here in America. The majority of us was already here. While slaves did come from the continent of Africa, the duration of how long they was actually going to the continent, transporting slaves to different ports, has greatly been exaggerated. Our involvement in the slave trade definitely was greatly exaggerated. They twisted and warped that narrative immensely. That's their favorite word. That's their favorite defense is like, well, black people participated in the slave trade too. They had slaves. And no, we did not. We had prisoners of war and we had indentured servants. We didn't have slaves. Get it right. But we didn't get to all them places on slave boats. Like the majority of us, whatever corner of the globe you can think of, there was already a very large concentration of us already existing, living and thriving everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere, especially European places too, continent of Asia, Australia, Canada. All in Mesoamerica, any Spanish-speaking country you can think of. No such thing as an Afro anything. No such thing as an Afro anything. No such thing as an Afro-Mexican, and no such thing as an Afro-Cuban, Afro-Chinese, Afro-nothing. That's just the original, darker complected people of that region. Anything lighter than them most likely was the colonizer. And not from there. They came from somewhere else. So we're the original people. That's what I mean on the historical side of it. And then the second part of it is the unity factor, because we're the only group of people that just don't call ourselves black. Everybody outside of our culture calls us black, but we have all these different ways to, separate from each other. We all speak different languages, have different political affiliations, spiritual, religious, languages, land masses, whatever you want to call it. We got those differences within our community, but the one thing that we all have in common, the common thread that binds us all together, is that we're all original people. We can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all civilization. We all have high concentrations of carbon, aka melanin, aka the stuff of the universe, embedded in us. So that's, why I refer to our people as original people on my platform. You can refer to yourself as whatever you're comfortable referring to yourself as. You can continue doing that. But on here, every time that I say original, I'm talking about our people, black people. And I encourage all my listeners to do the same. I encourage you. I'm not, it's not mandatory. And then last but not least, this is a timed platform. I try not to exceed 1 hour per broadcast. And the reason why I do that is just simply because, this is an all audio platform and I do not want to bore my listening audience to sleep. I want everybody attentive, to pay attention to what I got to say, to entertain everybody, educate, inspire, and appeal to everybody listening. And I can't do any of that if I'm just droning on and on without no speaking points and no overall underlying point. So that's why I try to just keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So there you have it. That's the gist of the Narrative Podcast. If I've glazed over anything, I'm well over 300 episodes in, so you can download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. Just in doing so, keep in mind there are like over 1,000 podcasts titled the Narrative Podcast. Make sure you're downloading the one hosted by me, Halsey Allen, the one and only Narrative Podcast, the only podcast titled Narrative Podcast that actually matters. All the other narrative podcasts, they don't matter. They ain't talking about nothing. And that's real talk. So there you have it. That's the complete overview of the Narrative Podcast. So without any further ado, I'm going to dive into the first section of the Narrative Podcast this weekend on this full episode of the Narrative Podcast. So my first section of the Narrative Podcast weekday edition is the highlight section. And in the highlight section, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting businesses owned and operated by our people, original people. And the purpose of me doing that is to provide the positive frame of reference, staying true to my mission statement, which is to provide positive frames of reference about original people and original people culture, is to provide the positive frame of reference of entrepreneurialism. Because I feel that's important because we don't have a lot of frames of reference about doing for self. The very few frames of reference that we have about our people being business owners are tainted by they come to us via scripted reality television. and those images are tainted by scripted reality television. Because first of all, they're usually like an ensemble cast of our people, our brightest people within our culture. Brothers and sisters overcoming adversity to move up a whole tax bracket. Started from the bottom. Now all of a sudden they're over. Their net worth is over like 6 figures. They got like 4 or 5 companies underneath their umbrella, underneath their brand, taking care of 4 or 5 different families. But the way these scripted reality television producers frame it up, they want to, just show us the worst of it. They want to catch them in rare form on television. They want to show us images of them, these, multimillionaires from our community. They could be beacons and symbols of, hope. They want to show them in the worst possible light they can show them. They want to show them engaging in something stereotypical. They want to have us fighting on camera, fornicating on camera, drinking and doing drugs on camera, fighting each other, and engaged in all other type of lewd behavior to basically get ratings and to control the narrative, to try to make our people look degenerate in nature. So that's why I do the highlight section on my platform, the Narrator Podcast, to bypass all that toxicity and just walk you through an entrepreneur's journey to let them know, where they started and how they got to where they're at now. And so, that's what I try to do. I try to give you a mini bio, like how they came up with the idea, what year they was born and all that stuff, a bio. Like if you went to their homepage, it would say pretty much the exact same stuff. If you went to their LinkedIn page, or if some entrepreneurs got their own website, a .com site, stuff that would be included there, like, where they went to school, how they was raised, and what they believe in, and all that type of stuff. And then just walking you through their journey, how they came up with the idea, where they got the funding for whatever business that they started, and, their business philosophy behind their brand, and, just integral things like that you would need to know about an entrepreneur to inspire you to want to start your own business, because the powers that be try to make us, weaponize the media against us, try to program and conditions our minds to believe we can't, do anything other than be, a 9-to-5 wage earner or a drug dealer. We can never, just ascend beyond that, or dependent on the government and, other, public forms of assistance, because they just constantly keep bombarding us with negativity. So that's why I'm doing the highlight section here on the Narrator Podcast, to show, just to, put out the positive frame of reference that it can be done, and, this brother did it, this sister did it. Not saying, nothing is wrong with working 9-to-5. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. If you're just some of us just wired to be worker bees, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. As long as you, take pride in yourself, and love your community, ain't nothing wrong with that, because the entrepreneurs, they need worker bees in their camp to make their empire run. But anyway, that's basically what the highlight section is about. Some other qualifying factors that I use to select the businesses that I'm going to highlight in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast is, number 1, of course, they're owned and operated by original people. 2, They uplift and they do some type of community outreach. They either pay into a nonprofit organization or have their very own nonprofit organization that helps the community that they're rooted in. They're engaged in some type of outreach, something for our youth, something for our elderly, just something positive, whether it's, digital literacy, whether it's, resources for the disenfranchised people in that community, such as food, such as clothing or shelter, educational things, vocational training type stuff, teach people a skilled trade, get people jobs, teach people how to fill out applications, resumes, and digital skills, computer skills, that type of thing. So it has to be some type of giving back type aspect. And then my last qualifying factor is that they align up with my overall theme. And my overall theme, I was doing the seasons, summer, spring, winter and fall, but now my overall underlying theme is, nationally recognized holidays. So yeah, because I kind of stopped running out of stuff when I was doing seasons. I couldn't think of no more stuff. So now I just look at the calendar and I type that in, what is the national recognized holiday, and then I go try to find, a Black-owned business that revolves around the national recognized holiday. And so, having said that, the nationally recognized holiday for today in the month of April, today is 4/11 in 2024, and today, the nationally recognized holiday that I chose to, find a Black-owned business that would coincide with that, is mini golf. Today is National Mini Golf Day. So the businesses I will be highlighting in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast are, businesses that specialize in something golf related. Now, I couldn't find any mini golf, palaces or whatever. I'm pretty sure there are, but I couldn't find any. I'm pretty sure there are thousands of little putt and play places that we own, that are owned by us in, different states, but I couldn't find that. My searches was coming up blank, so I'm just going to present to you things that are golf related in observance of National Mini Golf Day. And my first business I will be highlighting in the highlight section of the Narrative Podcast this weekend is a business called U2P Golf. That's funny. U2P Golf. Ute. That's a funny word. It kind of takes me back to that movie starring Joe Pesci. There was a scene, I think Ralph Macchio was in the movie too, and there was a courtroom scene, and he's Italian American, and then, he's defending his nephew. I think the movie was called My Uncle Vinny. So he was defending his nephew, and he was going he was trying to say youth, but he was saying Ute. And the judge was like, excuse me, what? And then he said it again, Ute. And then he corrected himself, all youths. But I said all that to say because this the name of the golf place that I'm going to be highlighting is Ute. Ute 2P Golf. So Ute2B Golf was established in 2000 by two brothers. One brother by the name of DeBron Jews Sr. And please, Tiny Hat, community, don't come after me. That's the brother's name. DeBron Jews. Jews. You can check his LinkedIn page. And the other brother his business partner is named Floyd Michael. So DeBron is the major head behind that. He has an extensive background in banking, management, and sales management. And the business is located out in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is in Baltimore, Maryland. I can't get that accent. I'm trying to work on my impressions. But it's out in Baltimore, Maryland. And basically what that is, it's an apparel shop. Now I wish I could, when I do these, for the avid listeners, I try to walk you through their entire journey. I try to tell you, what hometown that the entrepreneur grew up in, where they received their education, and how that's relevant to whatever business, their journey was relevant to the business that they started. But I couldn't, find the information because a lot of these business owners are real private and they don't post everything about themselves online or do interviews. So for that reason, I couldn't find a whole lot about this company, but I like the concept behind it. Basically what it is, it's a golf apparel shop, and it's kind of like it's like a lifestyle thing. It's not just like golf apparel. It's like a mindset thing. That's what attracted me to want to highlight that business, because golf, represents, the higher echelon. It represents a degree of learning, and that's kind of what our people is all about. Original people, we're all about learning. We're all about trying to broaden our horizons, and you can broaden your horizons on a golf course, because that's primarily why people golf in the first place. It's not just for the love of the sport. It's to go out on them greens and chop it up and get some free game. If you go golfing, you're liable to make some small talk with somebody that does international finance and trade. It can give you some tips on stock tips. You're liable to go and, rub elbows with somebody who can give you real estate tips, or something that can elevate your finances on the greens. That's primarily, why a certain group of people make golfing such a big deal. That's why they really like going golfing. It ain't just, for sentimental reasons. Oh, I used to golf with my dad. No, they go out golfing to get connects. And so, that's his philosophy behind his merch that he developed. His golf merch is to network. That's the lifestyle thing, networking, like network to increase your net worth. And that's what his merchandise brand symbolizes. So to find out more about his apparel brand, go to ute2pgolf.com, and you will see, all the merchandise he has available. He not only has apparel, golfing apparel, he also has golf supplies, tees, clubs, bags, anything you would need to golf. And once again, it is Ute2P Golf, and the proprietor's names responsible for establishing that business is a Mr. DeBrandon Jew Sr. and his business partner, Michael Floyd, located out in Baltimore, Maryland. So let's join me in giving these two brothers a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Utes TP Golf. Now the second one is an actual golf club located out in Ohio, in the state of Ohio. This is called the Clearview Golf Club. It's located out in Ohio. It was founded in 1946 by a military veteran by the name of William J. Powell. And you can go on their website to clearviewclub.com to, get the origin story behind how the club came to be. But I'm going to give you I'm going to highlight it because it's the highlight section. I'm going to just give you the highlights on how, the club came to be. Pretty much he was a military veteran. He served for our country. He came home, couldn't find a job, of course, but he always, he learned, he got an affinity for golf because they used to play in the barracks where he was stationed. And so, that love of golf kind of culminated. The seed was, the proverbial seed was planted in his mind. So he always wanted to do something golf related after he came home from the service. I think his first job was at a golf club at a caddy, and he came home to, of course, segregation, like many of our, brothers and sisters that served during the Jim Crow era. When they did their time, they got to come home, and the people that they're fighting can immigrate to America and get treated better than them. But that's a whole nother story for another time. But that's essentially why he created his own golf club, because, he wasn't allowed to play on a whole lot of golf clubs, and a whole lot of our people, they like to play golf too. So that was his whole premise why he created that particular golf club. It's been around, it's tradition. It's been around since 1946. It is now ran by his daughter, Renee Powell. And so you can go to the website to find out the rich, full history of the Clearview Golf Club in Ohio. Let's give a warm narrative podcast to the memory of Mr. William J. Powell and salute his daughter, who is still running the place, Renee Powell. All right. The next section here on the Narrator podcast is called the Spotlight section. In the Spotlight section, what I'm doing is I'm spotlighting brothers and sisters, or prominent brothers and sisters within our community, doing positive things for our community, impacting our community in a positive way. This section is basically a section where I'm honoring them for, their noble contributions to our community, through whatever medium that they contribute to our community, whether it's, philanthropy, giving back, having their own nonprofit organization, or just utilizing their public platform to speak unapologetically on our issues, or just the way they carry and conduct themselves in the public to represent our people. In the past, I've reserved this section exclusively for celebrities or public figures within our community, prominent public figures within our community. But I've kind of moved away from that because I don't want to perpetuate the negative stereotype that all our people know how to do is entertain. But in the past, when I first started the Spotlight section, I used to just spotlight actors, actresses, comedians, athletes, religious figures, YouTubers, TikTokers, public speakers, motivational speakers, that type of thing. But now I'm just trying to highlight just regular people doing extraordinary things for our community. And the purpose of me doing that is basically to normalize using your platform to say something nice about your brother and sister, rather engaging in negative gossip and mudslinging, because more often than not these days, when we're online, we're interacting with each other in a negative way. We're clapping back at each other on X. We're clapping back at each other on YouTube and TikTok posts, saying negative, mean things about each other, roasting each other, and on site, whatever, it's on site when I see you. And it's not entirely our fault because, like I said, the reason why we do that is because we've been programmed and conditioned to do that. The media, the algorithm, it's incentivized. They got the machine incentivizing the negative behavior. They're putting money behind it. It's like literally $1 billion a year industry for our people to get online and trade insults. Because the rest of the world wants to see it. They don't want to see us unifying and being happy for each other and uplifting each other and saying something positive to each other. Like, hey, bro, hey, sis, you know what I mean? They don't want to see the unity. They want to see the division, and they're putting big dollars behind major corporations to keep us divided. They don't want us to come together united and just celebrate each other and speak highly of each other in a positive way. And many of the content creators online, they intentionally do that to, garner enough clicks. They intentionally put out negative content because, they're brainwashed and conditioned to believe that's the only way you can make money online is to bash your brother or bash your sister. And to be quite frank, we're the most interesting, influential people in the world. Like when two, white people go at it, it's boring. Nobody cares. Two Asian people go at it online, boring. Nobody cares. Two, Italians or Irish people, it's boring. Nobody cares. But when we go at each other online, then the world gets silent. Everybody pulls up a seat and goes gets some popcorn or their favorite snack. Ooh wee, this is about to get good. You know what I mean? Because we're just that highly influential. But in the spotlight section, what I'm doing is just creating the trying to normalize being normal, saying something positive, saying something nice and uplifting to your brother or sister, acknowledging them for their accomplishments, celebrating their achievements. That's what I'm trying to inspire people to do when I'm sharing the spotlight, giving somebody a spotlight on the spotlight section of the Narrator podcast. And not for nothing, your brother, Halsey Allen, created the way for spotlighting. Because before I added the spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrative podcast, nobody was spotlighting anybody. Now all of a sudden everybody's spotlighting. Every time, somebody has a, YouTube channel or a podcast that brings somebody through and they be like, today we'll be spotlighting so-and-so and such and such, and nobody was spotlighting anybody. So, this internet makes the world really small. So when you think ain't nobody paying attention to you, just because, you don't have a large following, you have a large impact on this digital media. Like everybody's watching every move you make, whether they're coming out directly saying it, but we're always being watched. And I'm glad people are watching me, even though nobody's shouting out the Narrator podcast, shouting out to me. I'm glad everybody's, following my example, and now everybody's spotlighting. So as the old saying goes, imitation is the best form of flattery. And for all these people newly spotlighting people, I'm very much flattered from that sentiment. I know people be listening, like despite, what the numbers are saying, because I could just, as the old saying goes, what's understood don't have to be explained. There's so many content creators just, saying the same stuff I say, saying it the same way I say it, all my cadences and all my nuances that I say on the Narrator podcast. They, convey the same sentiments in their, shows and networks. So I know I'm being watched, and, it feels good in that respect. Because I'm trying to bring positivity to it. So if you're getting positivity out of it, then I'm good. I know the paycheck's going to come eventually. That's the way the universe lines it up. When I need to, when I get called to do something, to extend me beyond the audio platform into video and other mediums to spread my message. But for right now, just knowing everybody, like, high level people is looking at me and, imitating me to a certain point, that's pretty good. So yeah, I got to pop my ish.
You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. So anyway, on to the spotlight of this week for the Narrative Podcast, and the spotlight goes to a sister by the name of Lauren Carson. Lauren Carson is getting the spotlight this week because she founded an organization that helps uplift, edify, and inspire young ladies to, work on their mental health issues. And the nonprofit organization that she founded was a program called Black Girl Smile. Lauren herself was dealing with chronic depression since the age of 15. She was clinically diagnosed with depression at age 15. Since then, after, getting therapy and coping with her depression, she was able to, be the voice for other young ladies, just being ashamed to not be okay, and letting them know it's okay to not be okay. So what she did is provide a nonprofit organization that did just that, teaches the young ladies self-esteem and other life skills that will change the trajectory of their life, get them the mental health that they need. She gives out all kinds of mental health tips on her website, journals and all that, and constructive ways to deal with conditions of the mind. She possesses a degree, a bachelor's in psych that she earned from the University of Virginia. She's a writer, public speaker, mental health advocate, and so many other more things. And she's been inspiring young ladies to be the best version of themselves since early 2000s. She's done so many activities with them ever since she, found her calling in life. And that's why she's getting the spotlight today here on the Narrative Podcast for her nonprofit organization called Black Girl Smile. And if you want to know more about the organization, go to blackgirlsmile.org, and you can read for yourself, exactly what the program offers. They have all kinds of initiatives. They help young ladies, with their schoolwork, teach them digital skills, computer skills, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, personal hygiene and grooming and all that type of stuff. Everything a young lady needs to be a productive young lady, to build their positive self-images up and, feel good about themselves, and also, get the help they need for whatever storm that they're going through. And if you want to know more about the program, like I said, go to smile.org. They also have a little volunteer button. You can volunteer, help out, use your gifts to help out, your money or your experience and time. Or if you want to contact them directly and ask some direct questions, you can email them at contact@blackgirlsmile.org. Join me into giving the warmest round of applause for our sister, Lauren Carson, and the Black Girl Smile Project on blackgirlsmile.org. All right, next is a health and wellness section here on the Narrative Podcast, and it is just how it sounds. I'm giving tips about health and wellness. And the reason why I'm giving tips about health and wellness is because my target listening audience, original people, need health tips about health and wellness. Why do we need health tips about health and wellness? Because the powers that be are hell-bent in keeping us unhealthy and not well. Our people, there is an inherent agenda to purge our people from the face of the earth. The powers that be that really don't like us. They're attacking us physically, mentally, and spiritually. They're putting things in the air, food, water, that damage our unique cellular structure. On the mental side of it, I already told you what they're doing with the media, the type of psychological games that they play with us. Playing with us in our face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Manipulating us mentally. Embedding psychological messages in our psyches. Programming and conditioning us to be desensitized to violence, be desensitized to degeneracy, to be desensitized to lewdness. That's what they're doing to us mentally, spiritually. They're breaking us down spiritually as well. The spiritual warfare in Christian church, the spiritual warfare in the Muslim mosque, the spiritual warfare in the synagogue. a spiritual warfare in the temple, Buddhist temple, for whatever spiritual practice that you believe in, subscribe to, is spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is being waged on the original man and woman on this planet. And what I do here in the health and wellness section on the Narrative Podcast is give you health and wellness tips to help you armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked, so we can, live long and prosper and have a healthy life. I don't, give finance tips. You have to go to a financial guru for the finance tips, but I do health and wellness because health is wealth. And a quick disclaimer, my podcast is for anybody to listen to, no matter what walk of life that you walk on, no matter ethnicity, background, color, creed, or religion. You're more than welcome to listen to my content. However, be advised, be well advised that all the content on the Narrative Podcast is geared towards the upliftment and edification of original people, especially in this section of the Narrative Podcast, the health and wellness section. And why especially here is because, there's a little false narrative circulating around in religion. Whatever religion you call yourself subscribing to, whether it's Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever, we're taught, higher power, source, whatever, that we're all the same. We're all children of the Creator. And so while that's halfway true, we're not all the same. The Creator made us different for a reason. We all have unique cultural needs, unique ethnic needs. We all are different. We all have different needs. We're all built different. So as an original man, I can't, ingest things from your culture every single day. If I try to ingest the same, something a part of your culture, if I try to incorporate that into my diet with my unique cellular structure, it will cause me harm. And vice versa. If I had tried to connect with the source, the higher power, the Creator, exalt and magnify the Creator the same way you do on a spiritual aspect, I will perish, and vice versa. And if you don't believe me on the spiritual side, you can go and do your own social experiments. Go to a black church, go to a white church. You will see the difference immediately. So we're not all the same. We all have different needs. We're all different. Life is, as they say, variety is a spice of life. We're all, there's a wide variety of everybody. So I'm just appealing to the variety that is the original man and the original woman. So not saying I don't care anything about people out that are not are not original. I'm just saying we need it the most, and that's what this section is here for. So, having said that, today's health and wellness tip, or what, I got to give the examples first, though. I kind of jumped the gun. So, the types of tips that I give here on the Narrator Podcast and health and wellness tips. So the physical side of it, I usually give, the health benefits of a fruit, plant, herb, extract, or an elixir that you can ingest or apply topically to your external layers to improve your overall health. Or some type of physical exercise you can perform to stay healthy, active, and fit. On the mental side of it, things that will keep you in good mental health. Example, like mental mindfulness, mindful breathing, identifying your emotions, doing things to, de-stress techniques, to help you with your anxiety, things that keep your mind in perfect working order to help you keep peace of mind, mental wellness, as they would say, mental health. So that's on the mental side of it. And then, of course, spiritual, different spiritual practices you can practice to help you resist against spiritual attacks, such as meditation, such as praying, such as, using different spiritual techniques. So those are the types of tips that I give here on the health and wellness tips. And then every once in a blue moon, I might throw a curveball and talk about something esoteric, such as, divine law, law of order, law of attraction, quantum law, things of that nature. But anyway, today is a physical health tip. And in the health and wellness section of the Narrator podcast, I'll be speaking to you about the health benefits of a revolutionary super substance called shilajit. So shilajit basically is a decomposed plant matter, native to the Himalayas. It's really dense and sticky if you get it in the raw form. The taste is not very good. It's very tart. Speaking to my people now, here's the original part. We can have just, an unspoken bond, if you know. So I'm going to say it looks like gel. And we know what gel is, hair gel, that stinky gel that, usually hood chicks put, or the old players used to do with the finger waves. That's what shilajit kind of physically looks like. It looks like hair gel, like the black stuff that you get at the Asian beauty supply. That's what it looks like. Or, for people that are not original of my culture, it looks like tar. But yeah, shilajit is the new superfood. It has antioxidant properties and anything what it includes antioxidant helps you burn fats. So that's good. It's anti-inflammatory. My people, original people, Dr. Sebi taught us that inflammation is the root cause of pretty much all physical illnesses in the body. So it helps, get rid of inflammation. It makes you feel energized. It's a mood booster, enhances your mood. So it fleshes out your cells to give you that energetic feeling. It fortifies your immune system. So don't ever listen to a person talking about health and wellness that says it'll boost your immune system, because you cannot boost your immune system. Your immune system, first of all, we don't even have an immune system. Our body, just performs, we have an autoimmune functions. That's first and foremost. But the body has just it performs immune functions. And you can't boost the immune system. All you can do is fortify or optimize your immune functions. Can't boost your immune system. So it fortifies your body's natural autoimmune functions. Increases the white blood cells, increases the antibodies, all that. Then it also, through, the cleansing of the cells, increases, the blood flow in your body, cardiovascular activities. So like if you take some shilajit right before you about to do cardio, your cardio workout will be increased about tenfold. You'll be able to last longer on the treadmill, on the stair climber, or doing laps in the pool, or, if you're running or jogging, you got that heightened cardiovascular energy. So like that, it'll just give you a natural boost for that. And then after your cardiovascular, if you take it after your cardiovascular workout, that'll help you recover your, all your joints and stuff. It'll help you recover quicker from your cardiovascular workout. It also promotes anti-aging. It reverses wrinkles. It tightens up your skin, hair, nails, teeth. So gray hair, because gray hair really is not, we say, got that little old wise tale. It's wisdom. Gray hair really is just like nutrients, vital nutrients leaving your body, especially when you're under the age of 60 and you got gray hairs. You're not getting enough nutrients. So, it'll reverse that. It'll reverse like gray hair, thinning hair, loss of hair, to make your hair more thick and prevent you from going bald. And so hormonally in men, it's good for reproduction. It increases your sperm counts. It increases your testosterone. So, longer, harder, stronger, like we're all adults. That's what that means for men. And in women, the reproductive glands keep the pH balanced, springtime fresh. And then also, it helps with menstruation symptoms, like you'll have, a less heavy flow. If you're menstruating, it'll also help with bloating and cramping, alleviate those symptoms. And then if you're menopausing, it'll help with the menopausal symptoms. So no hot flashes and anything associated with menopause. So the only drawback with shilajit, like the real deal, is super expensive. It's super expensive. It's like it can cost you an upward, depending on where you get your shilajit from. If it's original, if it's real deal, it can cost you an upward of anywhere from $10 to $18 an ounce. So it's very expensive, but it is worth it if you're able to find it. Definitely use it. I would say shilajit. A couple years ago, the new thing to come along, that had all these transformative properties was cumin black seed oil. Just a few years ago, it was a cumin black seed oil. Then after the cumin black seed oil, it was the Celtic sea moss. Well, the properties in shilajit rivals both of those. So if you're taking all three of them, you should be like having superpowers. If you're exercising, eating right, and having like, Celtic moss, shilajit, cumin black seed oil, you should be good to go. And then of course, eating clean, very fresh fruits and veggies, produce, and not eating meats or anything dead. You should be good, but definitely try to get you some shilajits in your diet. And that was today's health and wellness tip here on the Narrative Podcast. Now the next section is called my speaking point section. And I call this my speaking point section. It's just basically where I'm dealing with current affairs, current news, what's ever trending around the world, globally, whatever. Just basically unpacking whatever's going on in the world from our perspective. And the reason why I do that is because, like I said, the media have us going out of its way to look and sound 30 different types of crazy. So, when I'm delivering my speaking point or current breaking news is just basically unpacking it from our perspective. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this: if you don't tell your own story will be told for you. And that's precisely what the liberal media has been doing to original people since it's been existing, and it has existed long before the internet, radio, and television, telling our story from a jaded perspective. So this is me controlling the narrative and breaking it down, whatever's going on in the world as it pertains to us. So the first thing I want to talk about is, this new little thing that the Health and Drug Administration is doing. They're playing word games with this. So we all know what HGMO is by now. We all know, what HGMO is now, genetically modified foods. So we know that it's dangerous. It can transmutate your cells, cause you all kinds of physical illnesses and other deformities in the body. Well, now they're trying to change they're basically trying to rebrand it. Just like they rebranded high fructose corn syrup. They used to call it high fructose corn syrup. Now they're just calling it corn sugar. But it's still the same toxic, deadly stuff. So stay away from corn sugar. And so the new term that they're unveiling for GMO is bioengineered. It's bioengineered seed and bioengineered or just bioengineered produce. That's what they're going with now. So they're trying to deflect it. They're trying to deflect the harmful properties that HGMO, because we recognize it. We know it's deadly. We know it's no good for our bodies. And now they're trying to, put it in a nice, pretty package and say, no, that's not you know what I mean? Because now to go to restaurants or, does it have HGMO? Oh, yeah. No, I don't want nothing with HGMO now. oh no, because now when you ask if something has HGMO in it, they say, oh no, it doesn't have HGMO. It's bioengineered. Same thing. Bioengineered means HGMO. Stay away from it. Stay away from the bioengineered. Don't fall for the mess around. They're trying to mess you around right now. Yeah, so what I was saying was just be mindful of that and watch the robbery, just how divisive our government is, how divisive the FDA is with these lethal food weapons. I think the word I was searching for was biological weapons. Yeah. Food is now a biological weapon. Our food here in the United States of America is the most lethal on the planet. The number of countries banning our food is on a constant rise. Every other month, a different country is banning food from the United States just because of divisive marketing such as that. They're going to change it. They're going to stop calling it HGMO because now we know what HGMO is. And so now they're going to say bioengineered. You know what I mean? So that's basically it. We got to watch the robbery on that. And now next thing I want to just briefly discuss, and by briefly I mean super brief, because I don't think it's something really long and drawn out. I just think it's just a simple misunderstanding or understanding. If you call yourself woke. So yet again, it comes from within our community. Our sister Tiffany Haddish is under fire yet again. She done got herself in trouble on social media land yet again for her art form, her brand of comedy. She got booed at the Netflix is a joke festival in LA. So basically, like I said, the nature of the Narrative Podcast is to basically take and unpack and bit by bit items, whether it's globally, nationally, or something specifically with our community, piece by piece at a time, and just, unpack it from our perspective. So now, in the case of this little, epic, faux pas, our sister, she just misspoke. She simply misspoke. There's always a better way to communicate a sentiment. Some people are really eloquent speakers. Some people are really eloquent writers. And I think, in my case, I'm more of an eloquent writer than I am a speaker. Like, on paper, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, when I'm speaking, it leaves something much to be desired. And I think our sister Tiffany Haddish is, like me. The sister simply misspoke. She's a comedian. And her job as a comedian is to bring the funny. And, within our community, we got a specific genre. She comes from the genre of the button pushing. Her brand of stand-up comedy, she's like in that genre of push the envelope as far as like try to get away with as much as you can get away with in your set. That genre where you're like, are you laughing with me or are you laughing at me? She comes from that pocket. That you should be able to just say what you want to say. comedy is a very, it's a very complex animal. It's levels to comedy. You got comedians who, give you an experience, and then comics that just give you a joke. So you're either a comedian or a comic. And I think a lot of people that venture off into the world of stand-up, they spend a lot of years trying to discern, like, what am I? Am I a comic or am I a comedian? So first and foremost, Sister Tiffany Haddish, she's very intelligent, highly intelligent. Like, she's a third level intellect with how smart she is to be so young, business wise, and just things she knows in life, experience wise. So she kind of knows what she's doing a little bit. She's an outspoken advocate on so many things. She's a product of being raised in the foster care system, so she advocates for that. She advocates for our plight, original people plight, on the systemic end. She's also an immigrant, or born of immigrant parents. She was born right here in the States, I believe. And her parents are from, I always mispronounce it, Etria, like, you know what I'm saying. But I always mispronounce that. But basically, she shares the same lineage. So they're from Eritrea. She's from the same, shares that lineage and was close to him. So she advocates for that region of Africa as well. Is a long list of all of her causes. She's takes on so many causes, and she advocates for so many. She seems to be on the constant fire because she just lives her truth, speaks her truth, and she's constantly getting drugged because I think people are taking the things that she says online, out of context, and takes it as she's just performing antics to get attention, basically. And I think that's kind of the case here. And she's just speaking from, a comedic, standpoint of the issue. And, she's getting drugged for that because, she referenced 9/11. She was talking about, that basically I'm not going to quote her word for word, but basically she was taking jabs at the peaceful protesters, saying they were just protesting about nothing, and they don't have any life experience. They don't know nothing about life. So they're just out there because they're trying to be, for attention, basically. Called them attention seekers, kind of on the slick. And so one more factor that you got to factor into the whole thing is her upbringing. She is seriously traumatized from being reared in, foster care. So she got a whole lot of mental health issues behind that. A whole lot of mental health issues being in the industry. After she ascended to the industry, she had a whole lot of mental health issues from being homeless, a whole lot of mental health issues from being in the region of California that she was staying in. She was in 60s, you know what I mean? So she's endured a lot. And that's kind of, I think what all the people that's dragging her kind of fail to realize about her is, how much trauma that she's endured, She kind of uses comedy as a coping mechanism to help her with that. You know, everybody has an outlet. You know, some people like use writing to cope with past traumas. So some people, you know, they use other art forms, art. Athletes use sports to cope with their, you know, past traumas. A whole lot of athletes, you know, use sports to cope with, you know, their trauma. Everybody copes with their trauma, past traumas in a different way. So, you know, she had a very traumatic past. Does it excuse the things that she said? I don't believe it does. But then also, you also have to take into account that she is a comedian and she didn't mean it, whatever she said, in like a literal type of way. So she was trying to add levity, and you know what I'm saying, and the joke just didn't go over well. All comedians experience that. She's experienced more frequently than most comedians, because she's still kind of young. She's not even 40 yet, so you know she's always going to kind of experience that. She's going to have many more sets where, you know, her jokes ain't going to go over too well. So, like, longer story short, I think just people, you know, some people just want something to, in this digital information age that we got, everybody don't deserve a platform. And I think that's kind of, you know, what's kind of at place for, I think the audience knew what she was trying to get at, but for some odd reason, it's getting, you know, released as a different way online. It's like people just trying to look for the negative. So, you know, I'm going to say she just misspoke. I'm a little conflicted because I'm a firm believer in speak your truth and live your truth. But I'm also a firm believer in moderation. Also a firm believer in context. So not only do you, you know, gotta say what you mean and mean what you say, but you gotta know, not only do you gotta say what you mean, but mean what you say. You also have to, you know, take your time and taste your words before you spit them out. So you can't speak from the heart, but then you gotta, you know, see how your message is going to hit the ears. You know what I mean? So you have to be clear and to the point. And be willing and able to break it down, what you're trying to say, on a granular level. And Tiffany is at like genius level. She's one of them like geniuses. And it's true what the old saying is, geniuses are often misunderstood because everybody else can't see their genius. Kind of like Ye. It's like it makes perfect sense to him, but when he says it, it leaves the average person that doesn't have that level of understanding, like, you know, leave them like, what WTF? You know what I mean? And so that was kind of like what the Tiffany had. It was a WTF moment because, you know, just like the majority of the listeners in the crowd wasn't on her wavelength. They wasn't like getting what she was trying to say. One, because they was only trying to pick out the negative things. They were trying to get it. That's number one, first and foremost. But then two, she was just like on a level that they wasn't on. So as a comedian or a comic, you know, whatever lane you're in, that's an eternal struggle to try to find that perfect balance. So life is a learning experience. I think she learned her lesson in this one. You know, people that's, you know, doing her PR saying, you know, she's been traumatized, she's getting therapy and all that. And so, final bit of advice, probably avoid anything politically charged or might politically trigger somebody. Just kind of keep that to yourself. You don't need to share everything with everybody. That's not like, backing down from whatever you believe, whatever political view you believe. That's just using the discernment, like, do I need this particular problem just because I feel this way? So that's all. I really believe the internet just made a mountain out of a molehill in this case. She's very brilliant. It really wasn't all that deep as people try to make it. I listened to the audio a couple times. It might have been one of them things you had to be there to actually get offended. I might have had to be there to feel what the students was feeling. But, from the outside looking in, it wasn't really all that bad. There's been comedians that said way worse stuff than that all throughout the history of comedy. That was super mild compared to the, all the offensive things, all the offensive jokes our people have had to endure since, the beginning of stand-up comedy. Because if you really legitimately think of, when has our people never not been the butt of a joke? So, yeah, that situation, what happened to her was super mild. It's a learning experience. Now she got something in the tank, a new, experience to learn from, and, should tailor her routine a little bit better now. Now she's aware of what, will trigger people in certain settings. Like what don't these days trigger anybody, though, when you really think about it. Like what don't anything trigger anybody? Because like we're living in the age, like everybody a whole lot of people just get on the internet to be offended, to find something to be offended about and talk about it. Well, that was my little 2 cents on that. Thank you all for listening today on this week's edition of the weekend edition of the Narrative Podcast. Thank you all for listening. That's a rapper dapper. Join me next weekend for another full episode of the Narrative Podcast. And then don't stray too far, because I also broadcast during the weekday, and I'm currently on a quest to increase positivity. So I'm going to be giving you a double, maybe a triple dose. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to improve my reach and trying to step up my efforts to bring positivity, just to have a positive medium by broadcasting as often as I possibly can during the weekday. So yeah, moving forward, that's what I'm going to be doing, because there's just too much negativity in our community, and you need more platforms where we're speaking life over our people instead of destruction over our people. And so join me this week. Keep your ear to wherever you get your podcast information from for a more increased dose of the Narrative Podcast during the weekday. So I'm probably going to start broadcasting 2 to 3 times during the weekday and once on the weekend. But at any rate, to stay connected with the latest episode of the Narrative Podcast, what you will want to do is follow me on YouTube. I'm Halsey Allen on YouTube. And subscribe to my viewer channel. I don't have a channel exclusively for the Narrative Podcast, but if you follow my viewer channel, just go to my videos and you will see, which are public. Go to my videos. All my videos are public. Ain't nothing private. And you will see the latest upload of the Narrative Podcast, because this platform that I'm broadcasting the Narrative Podcast, it automatically uploads to the YouTube as soon as I'm done recording. It also automatically uploads to X, formerly known as Twitter, as soon as I'm done broadcasting. The instant I'm done broadcasting, hit stop, and as soon as I'm done recording, it uploads to X, formerly known as Twitter as well. X, formerly known as Twitter as well. And what you would want to do is follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter as well. And I'm Halsey Allen on there as well. I'm Halsey Allen at I Stay Good. On any other medium, I have to manually upload it, but it automatically uploads to YouTube and X, formerly Twitter. So follow me on YouTube or X, and you will get the latest installment of the Narrative Podcast automatically. So just remember to download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast wherever you get your podcast information from. Remember, when you click on the link, the podcast link, you will see a little arrow pointing down. Click that to download the episode. Then also click the heart-shaped like button, and then there's a little box you can write a comment on the podcast episode. You can do all that to help me out. And then, of course, share it. Click the little 3 buttons and then share it to your favorite platform as well. But the biggest thing that helps me out is the download. So click that downward arrow. Download all episodes of the Narrative Podcast. This episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrative Podcast, wherever you get your podcast information from. And then I've also written a book of poetry. Another way you can help me is purchase my book of poetry that I wrote. So yeah, I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card, and the Black Card is available on a medium called Poetizer. And poetry is an online safe space for people that like to write, specifically poetry, but all other forms of writing are accepted on Poetizer as well, such as short stories, compositions, journal writing, or essay writing. Like, if you like to write, Poetizer is for you. But their main focal point is in the name, poetry. So that's what they kind of promote. And Poetizer, what they have done is added a feature that will allow users and members of the community to turn their work into a book and sell said book. And that's precisely what I've done on Poetizer. I've written a book of poetry titled The Black Card. And what my book is about is basically an all-encompassing look at us as a people, a snapshot, if you will, of pretty much everything about our culture, everything positive, everything negative, everything we experience as a people, just the whole experience that is us. And I've took that and condensed it into 30 dynamic, witty poems that you will absolutely love, guaranteed to connect with if you're an original man or an original woman. Just, that book could definitely speak to your soul. Do yourself the hugest favor and purchase it today. To purchase my book of poetry, written by me, Halsey Allen, go over to poetizer.com, visit their virtual online bookstore, and purchase The Black Card. The Black Card will make a great gift, a good coffee table read, a chillax book, just get in your mode, get in your zone, One of those types of books that just transport you out of here. Purchase the black card today on hallziespoetrycorner.com inside their virtual online bookstore. Purchase the black card today or get your black card revoked. The next book that I purchased, the next project that I'd like to promote is my personal poetry blog on blogger.com, and it's called hallziespoetrycorner. And the link to it is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And what that is a collection of poetry that I've written. It's unique and very satisfying. And the unique thing about it, all the poems on Hallzies Poetry Corner are spontaneously written in the moment, 110% off the cuff. They're so intricate in detail, you would think that I wrote it down on a piece of paper and then posted on the blog, but that's not how it went at all. It is 110% off the cuff. I didn't premeditate, the subject matter for any of the poems, nor the titles. Like, I'm literally just writing the poetry as it comes to me. So the poetry on that blog is comparable to like a freestyle rap or a spoken word poem, but in writing form. And the best way to help me out with my poetry blog is to visit Hallzies Poetry Corner. Visit Hallzies Poetry Corner at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. Once there, of course, read the poetry, obviously, go through the blog, explore, you start reading the poetry, and share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. Yeah, so just share, the link, www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner blog across all platforms. Not to mention, you can also click that little heart-shaped like button on the poetry blog. And then you can also leave me a comment. But the best way to support it is to share either the link to Hallzies Poetry Corner, which is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, or a poem featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner across all platforms. So that's all that I got to promote. That's all I got going on right now. I will give you updates for everything else I got on the table as soon as I get some updates. But thank you all for tuning in and listening to this episode of the Narrator Podcast. Join me this weekend for another full edition of the Narrator Podcast. I'm Halsey Allen. I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to help aid me in my quest by becoming a narrator. And while I'm changing the narrative on my end one episode at a time, as a narrator, you can help me change the narrative on your end one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen in the Narrative Podcast, signing off, and it's like that.
to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.